Hi there, James and everybody else. Today I'm going to talk about sexism on two levels. And what I'm going to say about sexism, it applies to all other focuses of categorism as well. That is racism, homophobia, ableism, classism, all that kind of stuff. Whatever category of people you base your prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, and so on at. One very important thing about sexism is that we need to distinguish between different levels. The easiest levels to talk about are the individual level with the case-by-case basis and the structural level with social structures. In my master's degree thesis that I'm working on, I'm using 5 levels. It is the individual, the local social group, it is when it is systemic, when it is structural, and when it is dogmatic. With individual, I mean within a person, and with social dynamic, we have within a group of people, a gang or a class or a workplace or a social circle of some kind. With systemic, I mean that it's so widespread, so it takes a life of its own. And structural is when it is built into social structures. And finally, dogmatic is when it's integrated in how you think about the world. If you have a worldview that provides you with prejudice and bigotry, then we have the dogmatic level. James, you recently made a few videos about sexism in games and such, and I think these videos are very good, but I don't think you distinguish enough between, on one hand, the individual and the local social group, and on the other hand, the structural and the systemic. Whether something is sexist or not, it is not an either or. It is not that something either it is sexist or it is not, simply enough. Something can be part of a sexist structure without being sexist in the individual case. For you who haven't seen James' videos, linked in the low bar, he's talking about video games and movies. And if a female character behaves or is treated in a certain way, he claims that it is sexist, but it shouldn't have to matter if we see her as an individual rather than as a representative of the entire group. And it's not that simple. You see, with many kinds of tropes, his videos is a bit about Anita Sarkeesian's tropes versus women. Anyway, when it comes to tropes, stereotypes in media and so on, the individual case is very often not a problem at all. The problem is when it becomes systemic, when it becomes structural. Let's start with magazine covers. If a magazine has a cover with a woman who is there to be beautiful, this is not a problem. If a magazine has a cover with a man who is there because he has done something interesting or knows something interesting, this is not the problem. The individual case is not sexist at all. There's nothing sexist in the individual case with having such a magazine cover. However, when women are almost never portrayed solely for their competence, while men are hardly ever portrayed for their beauty, this becomes a sexist structure. It becomes a part of social expectations on people. It becomes a part of pressuring people about what roles are appropriate. It becomes a message to women that we don't care about your brains, you are only here to be looked at. We don't care about what you think, just shut up and smile and show your tits and that's it. While on the other hand, for men, it's a message that, well, you are not to be desired anyway. If you don't have any great competence, or if you're not very interesting as a person, then fuck you, you're not useful, you're nothing. This becomes oppressive against both genders. And again, the individual case is not a problem. It is the repetitive, the way it repeats itself over and over, the lack of images that go the other way. We need more male characters who are object of desire, and not for their competence and the stuff they have done, simply for being. And more importantly, we need more female characters who are there for their competence without being pretty things to look at. Have you noticed how many movies have male characters who are not the least bit pretty? They are there only for their competence. They can be brilliant, they can be funny, they can know something, they can whatever. But do we ever have an interesting, sympathetic female character who is not there to be pretty, who is not there to be desired? The lack of such characters is a huge problem. So we need to distinguish between the structural and systemic level on the one hand, and the personal and local social level on the other hand. And it's not about slamming individual movies that conforms to the patterns. It is about, at least it should be about, requesting a bit of thinking outside of this old tired box. Make something different once in a while. Have more diversity. Have a wider range of role models and so on. Not every female character has to be stunningly beautiful. At least they shouldn't have. Well, I guess that's all I have to say for this time about how people are being pressured not by individual movies but by the whole social structure. That's all I have to say for now. Live long and prosper.